Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Progress America Unfiltered. My name is Tyler, and today I'm joined by two special guests. I've got Craig and I've got Nicolai, and we're going to talk about all things AI. So let's dive right in because I have no clue about this topic at all. So to begin, I'll pass it to you first, Nicolai. What is AI, and why has the media decided I really, really need to care about this?
So all great questions. And yeah, my name is Nicolai. I'm the director of AI research at Unfiltered Media. And this is very interesting because we've actually been talking about artificial intelligence for a really long time. While we're definitely have hit a new moment, a new paradigm in artificial intelligence, it's really kind of like as old as computers themselves. What artificial intelligence really is, what we're really talking about, is the ability for a computer to act on its own somehow, to take some kind of information and do something with it that doesn't involve us sitting there and literally typing something or clicking something or anything like that. In that sense, we've really been working with AI for a long time, but that conversation has been kind of muddled, right? Because when we talk about artificial intelligence, well, naturally people start to think, okay, at one point, do we get to a stage where computers act autonomously enough that they basically act like people? And when we talk about thinking like a person, human cognition, we're talking about something more along the lines of what we might call a general artificial intelligence, which is, if you think about it, human beings have this amazing capacity for taking information that we've never encountered before and processing it and doing something with it. Think about like the act of driving a car, for instance. You have to accept so many things: your immediate vision, your peripheral vision, your feet on the pedal, your hands on the steering wheel. And over time, you learn, right? You start off, you're not very good at it, but over time, you develop this incredible intuitive skill set that allows you to, for better or for worse, properly operate a vehicle. That's the kind of general intelligence that people have had as a goal for a long time with computers. Now, the last few months, some incredible advancements have been made with the ability for computers to start approximating that kind of thing, both to process information and then to make stuff for us using that information. That is nowhere near, to be clear, what human beings are capable of doing, but at the same time is really getting there. We're kind of like at an eerie moment. So ChatGPT is what's been in the news. It is a really incredible product. And it allows people to work with a computer in a way that they would work with kind of closely like with another person. Like you sit down and you ask it questions, right? Think about the old way of doing things. You went on google.com and you searched something and you read articles. That was kind of, for me growing up, like how we worked with the internet, how we got information, how we made computers work for us. Right now, with ChatGPT, that's much more dynamic. You sit down, and and it's not just ChatGPT, to be clear. There's a lot of these artificial intelligence models out there, but we can really interact now with computers in a way that just wasn't possible before. Whether it's, again, learning something by asking the computer, or prompting the computer to make, say, an image for you, write a poem, an essay, and it's gotten really, really, really good to the point now that, it's both exciting and a little bit worrying. So there's a lot of, I think, justified not fear around this, of course, but at the same time, it's definitely, we're entering a new world. Our relationships to our computers, our phones, it's about to fundamentally change. It is fundamentally changing right now. That's why I think it's important for everybody to start thinking about how this is going to impact them and the people and things that they care about.
Awesome. And so you touched on it a little bit there, and I kind of want to dig deeper into this, maybe with you, Craig. So a lot of the media attention around AI has been centered in fear, right? Like everybody's super scared that ChatGPT is going to take our jobs, or the plagiarism arguments that we've been hearing from like students in universities using ChatGPT. So before we get into the positives and how we think this could positively impact the movement, let's kind of dig deep into what are the things that we should be scared of? What are the disadvantages of AI? Like, why are people so scared, and do they have a right to be, Craig?
I think some of those fears are well placed, and I think some of them are actually misfounded. And I'll start with the misfounded ones. No, ChatGPT is not going to take your job in the traditional sense. And the fact that, as much as we talk about it as an artificial intelligence, it really isn't intelligent. It's not. It's very good we have basically been able to tell a computer how to understand English as we speak it as humans. And so when you can do that, you can have a chatbot act very human back to you. But if you use ChatGPT, it becomes very clear that it's not innovative. It's going to regurgitate. It will never lead you to somewhere new. And so in that regard, I do think it's a little bit overblown. I think there will be some job losses associated with this, as easy to replicate white collar jobs such as invite writers or essay writers, or basically a lot of writers may have to struggle in a workplace in which the amount of jobs, because there will still need to be writers to do the innovation, is less, because the volume of writing that a writer can do has now been amplified by quite a bit. Because what it can do is it can give you a pretty good first draft. It can get you 75%, or as one of my friends said, it helps with writer's block, which is a huge problem with writers a lot of the time. If you can give them something, they can give you a lot. And so that, and where it's a real fear, I think, and something that like is truly something that we all need to be on the guard for, is two factors. Is I like to think of this as like an efficiency amplification machine. Everybody can become more efficient with this. And so if you're efficient at doing bad things, you're going to be a lot better at it, because it's going to make you 10 times better at creating disinformation. It's going to help you create untrue. This is the really scary part, is it's going to help you basically copy President Biden's voice, Trump's voice. You've already seen videos out there like this, but instead of it being a hard thing to do, it's going to be a very easy on your phone kind of app kind of thing to do. Nicolai is right when it comes to your phones. How you use your phone and these kind of devices is going to change how we use it. And in particular, if you want to get really trippy, Apple's new headsets combined with ChatGPT suddenly makes the interface of a phone seem useless, and your entire world's just now displayed to you through glasses that you wear every day. So that's the real danger. And the other danger is that all of the structural inequalities that we face today are just going to become more amplified. That's the other part. Because the internet itself, it's trained on the internet, right? And the internet itself is white. It skews white, because white people on average have more money. They're more well educated because of the structural inequalities that led to this. And you're just going to amplify that, because ChatGPT was trained on the only available resource that it has, the internet, which is just already pretty unequal. And so those people who will continue to be able to leverage this technology immediately. They'll be first, they'll be most, and they'll be best. The three things you need to do to succeed in business and to basically continue to monopolize assets of our life. And so those are my biggest fears, is that it's just going to amplify the current inequalities we see.
That's a great point, and something that I definitely think about a lot. I studied that similarly in grad school, where when we talk about algorithms and we talk about, computers, they're being made by imperfect people. And so therefore they will have imperfect outcomes. But that being said, I've heard it's not all bad. So Nicolai, can you tell me what are some positives that we could see coming out of this kind of AI boom that's going on right now?
Yeah, and I'll speak specifically from the point of view of someone that considers themselves to be in the progressive movement. One of the biggest problems that we face in advancing good policy, good ideas that make our society a better place to live in, is that we lack resources, whether it's people, time, money, any of those things. A lot of the opposition is extremely well funded, and they have no problem, right? Putting together, getting the resources they need together to, for instance, lower their own taxes, right, at the expense of low-income people. So, what this can represent is an equalizer in that sense. We can leverage the generative capabilities of AI to get our ideas out there in a way that is much more efficient, much faster, and more effective with getting the public on board and ultimately lawmakers with good policy ideas. We saw when in 2016 that social media had been leveraged by the right to basically advance Donald Trump, right? And
We see that still today, not just 2016
yeah,
either.
and we see that now, right? The manipulation of social media algorithms, the abuse of the personal information that people put online, and that was taken advantage of very effectively, and continues to be to this day. We're at a really important moment right now where it's critical for the people who, in my opinion, are on the right side of history to empower themselves through the use of AI tools to ensure that we don't get to a stage where that's replicated with something that's even more powerful, in my opinion. I mean, social media changed all of our lives. And it's about to happen again. It is happening again right now here. And it's critical. Yeah, absolutely critical that any progressive policy organizer, activist, whatever, is knowledgeable of these tools and has access to good versions of these tools, because it's going to be critical to our success in the future.
Can I just add on to that? I would add two things. One is, this is where it can do great good. And talking about time, money, and resources, is it's a great efficiency amplifier. Just as you can do great bad with it, you can do great good. The two-person, food shelter, food pantry, will now have access to a tool that can enable them to communicate with people on all of the digital platforms now. What if they could just type a prompt of what they're trying to do, and they get an event invitation, they get digital toolkits out of it, graphics, even a video, where they can then engage in a way that they had never had an opportunity. They didn't have the money, they didn't have the time to hire all those people, and now it's just produced for them. But that leads into the second part, the models. The next war will not be fought by the tech. It's not going to be a battle of who has the best predictive model. They're all about as good as they get. The difference between ChatGPT, Bard, and any of these others is essentially what they've been trained on. The math has been done. Large language models, ChatGPT bots, are essentially a probability model of the English language in a way that a computer can understand it, compiled with a curated language model, basically curated information in. ChatGPT has billions of articles. That's why it sounds so smart. We need to think about how we create our models, because how we create our models creates the communication out. And anybody who thinks that like just providing an edit layer to this is going to solve all our problems, oh, just make sure you have a human editor. What you start with biases what ends. Good models will produce good content. Or I love this phrase. There's a common coding phrase: garbage in, garbage out. So
That's great. And
models are going to be good.
This conversation, has me thinking too, like on a philosophical level or a larger level. Audre Lorde, one of my favorite activists and poets of my time, of all time, has said, she has a quote saying, "The master's tools will never dismantle the master's house." So while I think it's extremely important that we're able to use this technology to our advantage while we can, like you're saying, Craig, like you're saying, Nicolai, this isn't our savior. This is one aspect of a tool that we can use to continue the important work that we're doing. But it seems like we're going to need to, if I'm taking away anything from this conversation, continue to diversify and cover all of our bases and not just put all of our eggs in one basket, especially based on algorithms that were built by, problematic people or that use problematic information at times to gather its information. But as we wrap up this episode, I just want to hear from both of you really quick. Do you have any last notes? Do you have any words of comfort or warning for viewers out there who might still have lingering questions about AI?
I guess I'll go first.
Yeah.
If you still believe anything you read on the internet, you got to stop, because it's only going to get worse.
Yeah, I wanted to reemphasize a point that we had made earlier. When people talk about AI right now and the harms it can pose, there are some really horrible situations that we should be very worried about. If we think about autonomous weapon systems, for instance, that is something that there absolutely need to be. That's on the same tier as nuclear weapons, right? That has the potential for annihilation. We absolutely have to ensure that,
And they exist, by the
and they
way.
exist
They
anyway.
just haven't taken the safeguards off yet.
Yeah,
They absolutely exist.
yeah. So of course, there has to be this element of government involvement, of international cooperation with the use of this kind of technology. But at the same time, I think that there's a lot of noise being made about, okay, well, the AI might get conscious, and then the AI replicates itself, and what are we going to do? We are nowhere near that point. Again, that is distracting from the real harm is that ChatGPT is doing right this second, which is perpetuating systemic inequality in all of its forms. Because again, as we pointed out, it's operating based off of information that's already biased. I don't. People have been thinking about this. They try to address these issues in the output that the models give, but there's only so much we can do with that. We have to be guided by our principles. The principles are still foundational, and as progressive policy advocates, those principles will always come first. And we have to make sure that we're utilizing these tools that we can't ignore, but we have to utilize them in ways that are aligned with our principles, because that's the only way we can advance our movement. And so I love that Audre Lorde quote. And that's I'm in total agreement of that. And yeah, I just urge people to think about how this can be empowering, while also being mindful of how this can be very disempowering, because it's just like social media. I've seen advocates do incredible things with social media. It's how we do advance a
Yeah.
lot of our policy priorities.
The Affordable Care Act was defended
Yeah,
because of social media.
right.
I absolutely believe that.
Yeah, at 100%. How are we going to do that even better this time using AI is a question we should all be asking ourselves right now.
Hey, Tyler, thank you for having us on, though. We
Yes.
really appreciate it.
Thank both of you. This was such an enlightening conversation. I'm going to do some more research. As always, pay attention to what media you're consuming online, but make sure you come back to Progress America Unfiltered, where we will continue talking about AI and all things politics. So make sure you follow us. And until next time, we'll see you later. Bye.